What's going on, NBA Draft fans? Your boy Corey Tulaba, the Wolf of Ball Street, the NBA Draft Dude, and we are here today to bring you Big Board version 1, my official top 30 players for the 2022 NBA draft cycle. It's been a few months into the season. I finally feel like I've watched enough film to get a read on the majority of these players. So we are gonna get right into it. We're gonna go from 30 all the way down to 1. Let's freaking go. At 30, I have Caleb Houston out of Michigan. Houston was a guy who came in with a little bit of top 10 buzz early in the preseason, but he's really struggled shooting the rock, and that's what he does. He's a shooter. But he's got good size. He had a good showing in FIBA. I really dropped him down the board throughout the season, but I'm not ready to give up on him as a first-round prospect. I think he's got more to show, and here's hoping that he shows a little bit more in the second half of the season. At number 29, I have Bryce McGowens out of Nebraska. I saw McGowens in person when Rutgers gave him a whooping, and, you know, he really didn't impress me, his body language, the reads that he was making, but that's what happens when you get smacked in a game like that. But there's no denying that he's a talented bucket getter. He can get his shot at all 3 levels. The next thing I want to see from him, which would really help him creep into that top 20, into the lottery, is, you know, figuring out the rest of the stuff, the playmaking, the defense, just all of the nuance of the game. At number 28, I have Peyton Watson out of UCLA. Watson, he's had a few good games as of late, but he's really struggled on the season as a whole. So he's another guy like Houston who is a top 10 guy coming in, and because of the lack of playing time on a veteran team, he hasn't really gotten to show off what he can do. But I really believe in him long term as a one of those wing defenders that you're going to be able to stick on, like a Paul George, Kawhi Leonard type of guy. Maybe he even plays a little bit of small ball 5, you know, down the line in his career when he bulks up a little bit. But I like the tools. I'm willing to bet on him in the first round. At number 27, I have EJ Liddell out of Ohio State. Liddell is a guy who came back to school. He's improved his stock. The stroke looks way better. He kind of reminds me of a modern day Paul Millsap. I think that he's a guy that might even be taken a little bit earlier than this, because I think he's just solid everywhere. He could defend, he could rebound, he could shoot it. Modern day 4. At number 26, I have Trevion Williams out of Purdue. Williams is one of my favorite players to watch in the entire country. He's this like old school power forward who's got this new school passing in him. You know, he can make those crazy reads like a Arvydas Sabonis or a Nikola Jokic, where he's just backing you down in the post, and all of a sudden he's taking those big oven mitt hands, palming the ball, and throwing a whip pass to the weak side corner. He's got every move in the post. You know, I think he's going to be able to stretch it out once he gets to the league. He's slimming down. He's got quick hands on defense. I'm really intrigued by Williams. He's a big part of why Purdue's had such a successful season. At number 25, I have Davidson's Hyunjung Lee. An absolute sniper, probably the best shooter in the draft. He's 6'7". He can he was 50, 40, 90 last year. He can shoot it with the best of them. He's a movement shooter. He can create space and create his own shots just by running off a ton of screens. And what tops it all off is he finishes around the hoop. He's elite. He's almost 80% around the rim this year because he's so good at using the threat of his shot to be able to get to the rim. So I think he's really been underrated, but he's got the size and the stroke to really find himself in a specialty role in the NBA. At number 24, I have Dyson Daniels from the G League Ignite. Daniels is kind of like a combo guard. He's running the point at times for the Ignite. He's got really good feel for the game, really good size. He's a pest and just an absolute monster defensively on the perimeter. I think his feel in the pick and roll and as a passer has been really good. He plays with good pace. The question mark is his shot. I really like the form. I think he's going to be able to find that a couple of years down the line in his career, and he's going to be a really valuable role player on winning teams. At number 23, I have Kennedy Chandler from Tennessee. I love watching Chandler play. I love how he works the pick and roll. I love the pace that he plays with, the start-stop, the quick change of pace. He's got way more dunks than he's given credit for, given his size. I even think he fights defensively. The shot has been really inconsistent after he started out pretty solid in that department, but The fact of the matter is, he's listed at 6 foot as a point guard, and if he measures in at 6 feet at the combine, I'll be very surprised. I think he's probably more like 5'10", and the fact of the matter is there's just not a lot of guys in the NBA that are that size that become starters in the league. You have to have a really elite skill set to do that. I'm not sure if Chandler has it, but I do think that he could be a really fun change of pace bench guard. So I'm not giving up on him in the first round, but he did drop a little bit from the preseason. At number 22, I have Jaime Jaquez Jr. from UCLA. I think Jaquez is just going to be a stud in the NBA. He's going to be such a valuable role player. He's got great size at 6'7", like 225. He can pass, dribble, shoot, defend. He's an underrated athlete. He's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be an all-star, but he reminds me of like post-injury Gordon Hayward. And I think that you could kind of stick him on any team in the league and he's going to find ways to contribute. So he's a little bit older, but the dude is contributing to winning teams. He had a great Final Four run last year, and he's poised to take UCLA deep into the tournament again this year. So Jaime Jaquez Jr., underrated. Look out for him. At number 21, I have Justin Lewis out of Marquette. Justin Lewis has not really been talked about a lot during this cycle, but he's coming on strong lately. He had a huge game against Seton Hall where he dropped 33 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He's a big body. He's got tree trunk legs. He's like 6'8", 245. Just an absolute physical specimen as far as strength goes. He can, attack closeouts with the threat of his shot. I think he could defend multiple positions. He's a new age swing wing that I think is going to be really successful long-term in the league. At number 20, it pains me to say it because he was number 1 on my board in the preseason, but it's Jaden Hardy from the G League Ignite. I saw probably his worst game of the season when he went 0 for 11 versus the Long Island Nets in person. I think the shot is there. I kind of like how he moves off of the ball. I think you can run him off pin downs and floppy actions. And, I think he's got really good feel when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. But when he does have the ball in his hands, he really struggles making decisions. He's a little bit shorter than I thought initially when I saw him in person, but he does have a really good frame. He's got big, broad shoulders. I think he's going to be a good shooter in the league despite his low percentages. He really makes me excited, but also I'm really scared. So this feels like the part of the draft where I would be willing to take a shot on him versus some of the other guards in the class. At number 19, I have Harrison Ingram. When you squint really hard, Ingram looks a little bit like Scotty Barnes with his playmaking in the pick and roll at 6'8", 6'9". I think his shot is pretty smooth, and I think that's going to be a translatable skill. So when you add up the shot, the feel in the pick and roll, and the size, I really like Ingram's potential. He's a little bit inconsistent. He's not a guy I think that's going to be a primary, but if you look at him as kind of like a Kyle Anderson type guy who's going to be able to attack, off when the ball swings, and he can attack gaps and kind of make reads and plays in that regard, I think he's going to have a successful career. At number 18, I have Marjan Beauchamp, my favorite of the G League Ignite team. He's a 6'7" wing. He's got long arms. He defends. He reminds me a lot of Josh Howard. The shot is coming along. It looks pretty. He's an absolute beast in transition, finishing everything. I love him as a complementary piece, for a team that has, say, a Luka or, one of these heliocentric creators where he could do a lot of the stuff off the ball, get out in transition, clean up the garbage, make backdoor cuts, all of the stuff that's going to lead to easy points. And then I think defensively he's going to be able to guard multiple positions. So I love Marjan Beauchamp, and don't be surprised if he creeps up into the lottery on draft night. At number 17, I have Mark Williams from Duke. Mark Williams, I know what he's going to be in the NBA. He's going to catch lobs. He's going to block shots. I think he's scheme versatile. He's going to be able to play and drop. He's going to be able to hard hedge, get back to his man. He's going to come over from the weak side defensively, and he's just going to finish everything off dump-offs and lobs and alley-oops. And I think that it's so easy to envision him being successful. I would love to see him on a team like Charlotte with a guy like LaMelo Ball who could hook him up in the best way possible. At number 15, I have Jan Montero from the Overtime Elite. I love this dude's game. He's shifty. He's got wiggle. He can pull up off the bounce. He's got real creativity as a playmaker. I think that he's getting to do things and experiment in the Overtime Elite in ways maybe he wouldn't in other leagues if he went to college or if he went to the G League. But even though he's not playing the best competition on a nightly basis, I think he's getting to do things with his game that's going to make him successful down the line. At number 14, I have Jeremy Suhan from Baylor. He's one of these modern day wings that you would see the Raptors draft. He reminds me a lot of a guy like OG Anunoby. He's 6'9", he's long, he's strong. The shot's a work in progress, but there's reason to be optimistic. He's shooting at about 36% this year. He's really intelligent as a defender. He can switch and defend multiple positions. I think that Suhan is not going to be a star, but I think he's a guy that is going to be able to play valuable minutes in a playoff setting. At number 13, I have Tari Eason from LSU, and a lot like Suhan, he's one of these really versatile big jumbo wings, and I think that he's really coming along as a season. He's an absolute block and steal monster. The shot is looking better in SEC play. He finishes really well around the hoop. He's got an underrated handle. He's got all the tools to be really successful at the next level as a modern day four. At number 12, I have Michigan State's Max Christie. Christie struggled earlier in the year. I saw him in his first game against Kansas, and he didn't have like a big night, but I just really liked what I saw from him, how he moved around on the court, how he was able to create space for himself. He looked bigger than he's listed at. He's got good size. The shot is so pretty. It's one of the nicest shots aesthetically in the entire draft. He's young. I think he's not getting to show his full bag at Michigan State. I think he's got stuff off the bounce, and I think he's going to be able to defend multiple spots. I'm big on Christie. I think he's a lottery prospect, even if his counting stats aren't as impressive as you would like to see. At number 11, Patrick Baldwin Jr. out of Milwaukee. Hasn't played in a little bit, wasn't that impressive when he did play, but I love his size, I love the stroke, I love the skills and the tools. I don't think he went to a good situation for himself going and playing for his dad at Milwaukee. I think if he went and played with a Kentucky or a Duke like he could have, he would have been able to play in a complementary role, a role that he was more comfortable in, and it would have set him up for success. But I think he's going to show out in the pre-draft process, and if anything, I think despite his tough year, he's going to climb back up into the top 10. At number 10, I have Benedict Mathurin out of Arizona. Mathurin is a guy who's had a phenomenal season for a really strong Arizona team. He's super athletic. I love how he can fit into any team because he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He's not a great creator one-on-one, but he has no problem attacking in a straight line, getting you up in the air, attacking on a closeout. He has no problem knocking down shots with a hand in his face, and I love what he does in transition. He's going to be a two-way player in the league, and I think because of the fact he doesn't need the ball, he's going to be able to fit on so many different teams. So if you're a team in this top 10 range, I think he's a great guy to take a shot on. At number 9, I have Ty Washington out of Kentucky. Ty, I don't know if he's necessarily a pure point guard, but he has looked good running the team when given the opportunity, including a 17 assist to 2 turnover game. He is an absolute menace in the mid-range. I love his shot-making potential. I think he's not getting to show everything like a lot of Kentucky prospects, but he's shown so much as the season's progressed. Even though he doesn't have the tightest handle or he's not super explosive, he's just so smooth. He's got a great floater, and again, the shot is super pretty when he gets it off the bounce. Big Ty Washington fan, made it into the top 10. At number 8, I have Jalen Duren out of Memphis, and besides Patrick Baldwin Jr., there's probably not a guy who went to the wrong school more than Jalen Duren. I love his potential. He's so strong. He's got a 7'5" wingspan, 6'11". He's 17 years old because he reclassified to be in this draft, so he's going to be like 18 and a half years old when he plays his first NBA game. His size, his strength, his athletic ability. I saw him in person. He's an absolute freak. I love how he moves. I think he's going to be able to guard the perimeter. I think he's going to be able to hold his ground against bigger guys in the league. And I don't want to give up on his potential just because he didn't get to play with the right guard. You know, you put him in a role like Clint Capella, and I think he's going to be able to excel right away. And I think eventually he has the potential to be kind of a new age Jermaine O'Neal because he has shown the ability to pass it in the short roll, and he has shown a little bit of a jumper. So I think that Duren is being slept on, and I wouldn't give up on him. At number 7, I have Keegan Murray out of Iowa. Keegan Murray really impressed me when I went to see him earlier this month. He is bigger than he looks like on screen. I loved how he worked out pregame, everything with a purpose. He can shoot it a little bit. It looks really smooth coming off his hands. He gets after it defensively. He's a beast in transition. He can get it into the post. And I think that if you're just looking for a guy who's going to impact winning, he's a guy that will do that. No, he might not be a superstar, but he is going to be a guy that helps your team win games, even if it's not in a super sexy way. He's not going to be on highlights all the time, but there's no arguing the production that he has this season in college basketball. So Keegan Murray, really cemented himself this season. At number 6, I have Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin. Obviously, we saw him go head-to-head with Jaden Ivey and throw up a 37-piece on him. Reminds me a lot of Devin Booker. He's really smooth shot maker. I think he's sneaky athletic. A lot of people think that he's kind of ground bound, but he's really quick. He's got good burst. He's a great defender. He's got length. And when the three-point shot comes along, he is going to be a problem because he can hit some really tough shots, just lives in the mid-range, can get to the hoop, finishes with both hands, and I love how he passes it with both hands. Even if the assist numbers don't show it, he showed some really impressive playmaking chops this year. So Johnny Davis exploded onto the scene. He has earned his position as a borderline top 5 guy. At number 5, I have AJ Griffin out of Duke. I have never given up on AJ throughout the season, even when he started out slow. When I saw him this season, you know, you could tell he was big, he was strong, he had the body, he moves like Jimmy Butler. He reminds me of a Jimmy Butler, of a Jaylen Brown. And now that he's playing consistent minutes, you see the impact he has on the game. The college game almost looks too easy at times. He's shooting 50% from the floor, 50% from 3, knocking down on high volume. So the fact that he could be a two-way wing who could potentially be, you know, an elite shooter, elite cutter, and elite bucket getter, I mean, there's no arguing that AJ Griffin's potential is through the roof right now. At number 4, and I hate that I have him here, I'm really struggling with the top 4 and how to order them because right now I feel like there's not a lot of separation. I have Jabari Smith Jr. He is an absolute phenomenal shooter from the three-point line. He's a phenomenal shooter in the mid-range. He is a phenomenal perimeter defender. I love the energy. I love the effort. I love the intensity. I love the ability to lead Auburn to the successful season they have. But he's struggling to finish it around the rim. I don't think he can create consistent enough with the handle that he has. It's a little stiff. And I think that some of the other guys, while they're right there with him, they have skills that I'm more confident in developing. Now, what I will say is I had Jabari at 2 probably a week ago. So this is very interchangeable. It's very fluid. And by the time Big Board 2.0 comes out, he could very well be back in that spot. Right now, I just, you know, I believe in the shot. I believe in the defense. I believe in him being an elite complementary player. I think some of the other guys maybe have a chance at being a more primary function. At number 3, I have Jaden Ivey. Man, it's hard to look at his potential with the ball in his hands when he gets that opportunity and not see what he could do with the extra space in the NBA. He plays so much off of the 2 bigs in Purdue that he doesn't even get to create that much. But when he does, when he's in ball screens, when he's in transitions, you see some of the playmaking shots. You see the slow to fast just explosion. You see the bounce. You see how he attacks the rim. The shot is smooth. He's shooting over 40% this year on high volume. I mean, the kid looks like he was tailor-made for NBA basketball, and he's having a major impact on college basketball. I think he could potentially have a huge tournament and really show what he's made of. And I think as far as the guard play goes in this draft, he has proven to be the #1 guard in the class. So it pays to go back to school sometimes. I'm a huge Jaden Ivey believer. He really showed me a lot when I saw him earlier in the year. And I'm ready to hop on the Jaden Ivey top 3 bandwagon. At number 2, I have Duke's Paolo Banchero. Paolo is a guy that he's been in this spot for a lot of the year. I kind of had him and Jabari neck and neck for a lot of it. I think that he's just going to be a bucket in the league. I think that he's somebody that maybe we're even overthinking. We're trying to pick his weaknesses out when in reality, he's just super solid to really good across the board. He's been playmaking more often. He's been hitting the boards harder. He's been scoring efficiently from almost everywhere. Yeah, the shot needs a little bit of work, but he's a big enough threat from the three-point line that you still have to guard him out there. And when you do that, he can break you down off the bounce and get to the rim. He creates so much attention. He draws in the help, and he's able to kick out. I mean, Banchero's going to be a problem, and he's every bit the 6'10", 250. Like, in person, he was physically impressive. So his size and skill level, you just don't see it all that often, and I think he's led Duke to a really, really good season, even if they have a really loaded team. He's the guy that makes that team go, and I think he's the guy that's going to send them into a really impressive tournament run. And finally, number 1, it's Chet. Fact is, it's been Chet the whole year. I'm getting to the point where I think that maybe it's Chet by a wide margin. The dude is dominating college basketball. And yeah, he doesn't play in the strongest conference, but guess what? He looked dominant against a lot of really good teams that he's played in non-conference play. His offensive game has been unbelievably impressive. He doesn't miss around the rim. He just doesn't. He's knocking his perimeter shot down almost effortlessly at this point. The way that he could step into a transition three with so little effort is unbelievable. And then what he does on the defensive end. He's one of the best shot blockers I've ever seen. Forget his skinny frame. He's a badass. He's tough as hell. He's going right back at you. He's taking that ball and he's volleyball swatting that shit into the stands. Not only that, he can guard in the pick and roll. He's playing drop. He's going to be able to hard hedge and recover. Anything you want to do defensively, he could do it. And the fact that he's a two-way player, I think he's the class of the 2022 NBA draft. Chet Holmgren, the #1 prospect on Big Board 1.0. All right, guys, that's going to do it for Big Board 1.0. I appreciate you checking out the video. I appreciate you checking out the channel. If you haven't yet, give this video a like and make sure you subscribe to the NBA Draft Dudes channel. And make sure you subscribe to noceilings.substack.com for written NBA draft content Monday through Friday delivered directly into your inbox for free.